Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful Monday morning in a brand new, wonderful week. I'm Regina Partain Bergman, your host for Pursuing Profit with Principles. Sometimes folks ask me who I work with, who my ideal client is. And honestly, the type of clients that are attracted to me, entrepreneurs not achieving their potential, which leads me to my guest today. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to interview James Lamb, CEO and founder of Look Ahead Marketing. And I interviewed him on my podcast by the same name, Pursuing Profit with Principles. Today, I thought it would be really great to bring you that interview. James teaches people to recognize their superpower and build your business around it. He's a very energetic young man, and I thoroughly enjoy every time we get to interact together. And on this particular show, we had a great discussion about how to achieve your potential, some of the things that you need to do to invest in yourself. So let's watch the video, and then we'll come back and chat just a little bit more about this. So let me bring the video up. Oops. Welcome back to Pursuing Profit with Principles. Excited to have you join us today for my special guest, James Lamb from Canada. So we're being international today.
You're
James,
internationally famous. That's what you're saying, Regina, right?
yeah, that's right. So James Lamb, otherwise known as the Big Cheese, works with heart-centered entrepreneurs to help them find their superpower and figure out how to get it out to the world. So we all need that. James, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. It's good to be here. And by the way, I do the same thing. So just so the folks know, I have my own podcast and I do the same thing. I'm like, hold on. Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Jay. It's funny because our voice totally changes, right? For the introduction. I don't know why it does, but it totally does. So
We don't even realize we're changing when we're doing it.
I wonder what David Attenborough actually sounds like in real life.
James, it's delightful to have you on the show. James and I have a good time every time we get together. So you're in for some more laughs again today, folks. And people are used to that on our show. We laugh a lot. So we just have fun while we're doing this. James, will you
Yes.
take a moment and tell us a little bit about you, about your journey, what kind of brought you to where you're at and what you're doing currently?
Yes, and I know earlier you said 35 to 45-minute podcast. I can probably fill that entire time, but
You noticed I
as
prefaced it with a few moments.
that's right. Yeah, absolutely, and I would be happy to talk about that. So, essentially, I run Look Ahead Marketing, which, as people will know, Look Ahead Marketing, the acronym is LAM, and so that's my last name. And basically, it's a synthesis of everything that has gone wrong in previous businesses, put together, distilled down into all the lessons. And now that company is working together with heart-centered coaches, healers, authors, speakers, consultants to be able to get their message to the world. One of the things that and I don't take any, how do I say this? This is, we talk about superpowers and we talk about background, and this is my superpower. My superpower is being able to have all these failures, but still go on and learn from the failures and empathize with people to help them to get out of that dark spot. Because Regina, you can talk about this as well, because you've been here as well. Most entrepreneurs have a rough patch.
Yes,
And that is where
at
most
least one.
right? At least one. And most people fail there, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why it's almost like when I look back, it's so clear because I have had so many failures from, and I'm not joking, losing thousands of dollars a month. And that's actually what it was.
Right.
Starting a franchise, like we were the franchisor, that totally failed, to, having a digital marketing agency that I owned that I didn't do any work in and brought in money. And I totally hated it, as weird as that sounds. Like, it sounds like everybody's pipe dream. But I think that's the reason why I'm here, is to help people get their message out and be able to get through that really difficult part. Because that difficult part is usually where you stop believing in yourself. You look externally for validation instead of what you really need to do is just lean into yourself. And that is what Look Ahead Marketing and what I do all rolled into one.
I love it. And I never thought of that as a superpower, but I have that superpower too.
Yeah. Well, it's, and this is the challenge with, and Regina, you and I are the same way. And I know we're just casual here, but, um, one of the things that I love about the people I attract, and I have a sneaky suspicion is the people you attract to, are you have those people that are passionate, that work hard, but do not have the results yet, and
Exactly.
are frustrated, but they're open to learning and they're open to new ideas, right? And
Right.
they're willing to try whatever it is. And I think both you and I are there as well sometimes, right? Or have been in many
Absolutely.
ways. And that's part of the reason why I really like what I do, because I've
And
been there and it's terrible. And sometimes you need a leg up and some knowledge and some direction to get
yeah.
yourself out.
And I really am glad that you touched on that because that's so true. And one of the things that we've talked about in this show before is that every one of us needs a coach, someone, a coach or a mentor, someone who's a few steps ahead of us, who's figured out the thing that we haven't figured out yet, the thing that's holding us back, and can
Yes.
guide us and direct us along that path.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, I'm pretty sure you know this, but Virginia does business coaching and she's amazing at it, right? And a lot of it's because you've had a number of businesses and experiences, right? But don't
Exactly.
forget, this is one of the things that I cannot get through to people. Like, and don't get me wrong, like, so I don't know where your coaching packages start, but I used to coach with somebody who charged $2,500 a month. I don't know if that's reasonable or not, but that's what I did, and that was about 10 years ago. And part of the challenge is not just where to go, it is what to avoid doing. Okay.
Yes.
And I will give you a classic example. Okay. Is I was at what's called JV Summit with Jay Facette, who Regina and I both know, great guy,
Yeah. Great guy.
has failed more times than I have, and probably you put together, but that's what makes him such a good mentor, right? And I remember, the first, and I'm in the middle of my launch now, but my first idea was to sell $197 course to 300 people, and that would be it. And Jay's like, and I think he actually said this. He was like, James, you are too smart and too talented to sell $197 course like every other schmuck on the street. I think that's actually what he said. Right. And so he's like, this is your pricing structure. You need to do this. And so he basically said something, challenged me. I had to charge 10 times that amount, which I did on this
Which you're
launch,
doing.
which I'm
I'm
doing.
proud of you.
And I've sold 18 of them. Right.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But imagine the amount of challenge that would be happening if I had gone in with $197 price point. And
Right.
Regina and I were just talking, and to get somebody from cold traffic into my program is around about $700. That's my acquisition cost. So $197 is a loss leader, and there's no way this business
Exactly.
would have worked out. So that 10 minutes of coaching alone has saved me so much heartache, thousands of dollars, probably the business, right? And
Right.
that is the beauty of coaching. It's not just what to do, it's what not to do.
I think that's brilliant. One of the things that I like to liken what I do to is providing a business GPS. And so a GPS gives you resources, guidance, and accountability, right? So the resources is it knows how to get from my house to James's house.
Mhm.
I sure don't. It gives me guidance. So it says, turn here, turn there till I get there. And the accountability is if I mess up and take a wrong turn, it says, wait a minute, turn around, make a U-turn, go back and catch that exit.
Yeah.
That's the accountability. And as coaches, I think we do the same thing. We provide resources in our trainings, in the tools and things that we give them. We provide that guidance of helping them set that direction and create the path and the roadmap. And then we provide that accountability. Are they having success on that path?
Yeah, it's a really, really big one, right? And it's something that as you progress in business and as you get more experience, you start realizing that this is always going to be a part of your life. You will never have it all set. You will never have all
Yeah.
the answers. You will always need someone to coach. In fact, what you do is you actually end up just spending more money on coaching. And I'm not joking. And I don't say this to try to promote Regina and I.
No.
That is actually the case because,
Yeah.
and I never understood it until now, and I still don't understand it. But the number one thing you can do in business to improve your business is get your mindset right.
Invest in yourself. Yeah,
Invest in yourself.
absolutely.
I do not understand why this works. It makes no sense to me. I'm an engineer by trade. It shouldn't be the case, but it works. The freaking thing works, right? Like every time I fix my mindset, every time, and look, like I said, I'm an engineer, so I'm a science and math person. But I went to the quantum realm with somebody, and I went to
Yeah.
like the spiritual realm with someone else, and I went to, and all these things just somehow they work. I don't
Yeah.
understand, but that is one thing that every entrepreneur should do is work on themselves, whether it's
Absolutely.
from a mindset perspective, an education perspective, what is it called when you get together, a mastermind perspective, right? And Regina, you should run one if you don't have one yet. So there, I'm promoting Regina. So anybody who signs up, I get 5% of that.
All right. Good deal. You
But that
know,
is one of the biggest things we can do, right?
absolutely. Some of the most successful coaches I know spend $100,000 a year on coaching for themselves, and they're already at the top of their game. They're already doing great things, but they recognize that need to take it to make it even better. And mindset is a huge piece of that. And then masterminding, what you said about masterminding, being able to sit down with other people of like skill sets and mindsets and be able to be a sponge. The first mastermind I went to was with Russell Brunson
Oh
of
my
TikTok.
goodness. Seriously.
Seriously,
That's
paid
pretty cool.
25 grand to get into that year-long
How
mastermind.
was that? That's a good deal,
It was.
especially
That
now,
was
right?
when I think it was his first mastermind. I'm not sure,
Yes.
but we paid 25 grand to be in
So
that
whoa, 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 whoa,
mastermind.
whoa, whoa. Mic drop. You have a direct line to Russell Brunson. Like if you reached out to Russell Brunson, he'd be like, "Hey, Regina, how's it going?" Is
Well,
that
let's
right?
see. During that year, I had his Voxer.
Oh my God. That's so cool.
But it was incredible to sit down in that room with those 25, 30 people. And my partner and I, my business partner and I, we were just sitting there. Brad, you met Brad. We were just sitting there being sponges, going, "Holy cow, we can't believe we're in this room." It was incredible. And that's the kind of thing that, I mean, that's investing in yourself, right? That was one of the best investments I ever made in terms of my personal growth, was sitting in
And
that room with those 30 people,
yeah, and if
25,
you're the
30,
smartest
whatever.
person in the room, you're probably not
You're,
in the right room.
yeah, you're in the wrong room. If you're the
You're in the
smartest
wrong
person in the
room,
room,
right?
unless you are running the show, you're in the wrong room.
That's exactly right, right? So,
Want to learn
um,
from everybody else.
well, that's isn't that neat though? And you learn a sense of humility, humbleness, education, and
Yeah.
opportunity all at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and you what did you say? People spend like $300,000 coaching or something like that a year,
Yeah. Or
but they're
100,000.
probably bringing in
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 million,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you
Right.
only can get there if you make the investments now.
Yep. And invest at the level that you're at.
Yep.
So I participate in a mastermind that's $99 a month.
Ooh,
I've
that went up, didn't it?
participated
Didn't that
in
go up? It was
masterminds
97
that's
at one point in time. Now it's
okay.
99.
Maybe it's 97. But and then up to Russell's, and then,
Yeah.
and yes, masterminds are definitely on our path in terms of what we'll be offering.
Yes.
We're just not quite there yet. So you've made this switch in your business.
Mhm.
You've kind of transitioned, and now working with these heart-centered entrepreneurs. And I want to come back to something you said too. You mentioned this being a journey, that this is,
Yes.
that it's not a destination we're
Mhm.
seeking. It's a journey, right?
Oh, I'm seeking a destination too. Don't you worry. It's usually like a
Okay, tell
beach
us
and
that destination.
I'm just joking. I'm not am I seeking a destination? I don't but you know what? I think I am. And it's not a material possession, it's actually fulfillment. I think that
Gotcha.
is actually what it is. There's a
Okay.
little bit of fulfillment and there's a little bit of, and I don't know if anybody else follows me when I say this, so vulnerability moment here, but there's a little bit of self-confidence there too, right? That you can build
Got
something
it.
that is amazing,
Right.
monumental, unbelievably profitable, but so needed as well.
Exactly. And I don't know about you, but for me, a huge part of the payoff for me is being what I call part of the ripple effect.
Hmm.
That as I impact others and allow them to then, or help them to maximize their potential and really achieve their potential, and then they go out and impact the world, I get to be part of that ripple effect.
Yes,
And I
yes,
love
absolutely.
that. That is the one of the most fulfilling pieces for me.
Yeah. Mm.
Many times I hop off the phone with a call with a client, and have in the past, And my husband is retired, and I'll go find him wherever he's at in the house. And I've said to him multiple times, "Have I ever told you I love how much I love what I do?"
That's
I've never
amazing.
heard that before, you know. but but I do, because it's so invigorating and exciting when you get to make that impact on other lives.
Yes, yes. For me, um, I think it's a little bit more introspective sometimes. It's
Okay,
not bad.
talk
It's
to us
not
about
wrong.
that.
It's not wrong.
Yeah.
But I see what I see. So 10 years ago, and I'm not joking. So I gained like 50 pounds, and um, we were starting Learn Photography Canada, right? Which is
Right.
photography teaching. It's not a complicated top. It's not a complicated thing.
Right.
And we were losing thousands on it because I refused to leave it. I refused to shut it down. I was like, no, we are going to stick to through, and we are going to find out what works. And
Right.
like it's kind of that hustle and grind, never quit
Yeah.
attitude, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
Been there, done
and
that.
but it was a really dark spot. Like it's I always felt like I needed to be working because it wasn't successful, and I always
Right.
felt like I needed to work harder, and everybody was getting ahead. Like it's really that scarcity minded.
Mhm.
Anyways, and it's a really dark spot, right? It's not a great place. Your self-confidence takes a wall up. You
Yeah.
become really price sensitive and scarcity minded, and you always fixate on the problems, of which you have a lot of at the time,
Right.
right? And so I think that's the reason why I do what I do now, is because when you're there, it sucks and it's lonely and it is not a good place. And
Yeah.
like in what I do, I teach marketing, but I don't really teach marketing. Like the tool is marketing, yes. The actual product is validation and self-confidence
I
and
love that.
direction,
I
right?
love that.
And so I think that's the reason. That's what I get out of it. I'm like, so some people, they're like, oh my god, and it's such, for Regina, for you and I, for mechanical wise, it's such a small change, but the change in the heart and the change in the psyche goes a long way.
Yeah.
I had one, and you saw my presentation yesterday, Dick Woodhull, right? He's one of my favorite people. He was the person who coaches midlife people in middle of life, and he essentially what he did was he changed his words to his elevator pitch, which changed his entire emotion, which made
Right.
him more vulnerable. And he started crying when he got it, because he knew he had it and the group knew
Right.
he had it. And he just felt so much relief. And to me, that is amazing. So you could say all you did was change his elevator pitch. Yeah, that's actually, I didn't change it. He did.
Mhm.
But he knows who he's talking to, and he knows his
Right.
worth, and he knows
Right.
why he matters. Like all these things come dropping down.
Yep. I love it. I love it. It's there are, and right now is a time when there are so many folks who are starting out in business,
Mhm.
and
More than ever.
more than ever. And we know that prior to this, the failure rate of businesses was huge. Now it's going to be even greater, because
Yes.
there again, people need tools, they need the GPS, they need guidance. And if they don't know where to get it, then it's really bad for their business, because there's so many things they don't know about how to run a successful business. And as I'm fond of saying, if you don't know what you don't know who to ask or what to ask. You don't know where to go get the answers, because you don't know what the question is.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, um, there are so many things with what you just said there, right? Now, I'll give you an example. So, this launch, and you can do the math, is $2,000 times 18 people, and my cost for
Right.
this was probably 5,000, right? So, you can bet I'm going to do it again and do it on a bigger scale, right? Because it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah. Right.
And make no mistake, this is the first time we have in a year that we have, sorry, second time in a year that we've come into really what I would call decent money, right?
Right.
And but the only reason why I am sitting here having this pleasant conversation with Regina and talking to you is because a few months ago I put in a $2,000 paid course with Amy Porterfield on how to do courses. And back then we didn't have $2,000. Like this is like kind of like the Hail Mary gamble.
Right.
But without that, no way. There's no way I could have done this. No
Right.
way. There's zero way. Like if I think about the alternative, if I didn't buy it, I think I'd still be at square one, right? And that's
Right.
that's essentially what Regina and I are saying is that you need better education for more change. Until the business owner changes, the business does not change. Does that make sense
Right.
what I'm saying?
It does. It does indeed. You know, one of the courses that I have is called Mindset Before Profitability because it's so
Mhm.
important.
Yes. That's a really good one, right? Um, abundance,
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
we have people and you find out who they are pretty quickly, and you know this as well as I do. There are people that are like, I believe in an abundance mindset, but, and then you're like, if you
But
start saying the but, there's no abundance mindset, right?
that's right. That's right.
And then I'm not saying spend all your money. That's not
Mm-mm.
what I'm saying. But I'm saying sometimes you have to believe in what you do, right? One of the most meaningful things you can do, and Regina will tell you the same thing. One of the most, and I'm going to coach for a second, right?
All
One of
right,
the most
please.
meaningful things you can do when you have no money is to actually donate money. And I am not joking. It doesn't have to be not an investment, not a loan. You give money away, and it can be as small as $5, something that is
Right.
meaningful to you, because that I guarantee you, and again, I don't understand how this works, but that will come back 500-fold to you probably within the month. I
Yeah.
guarantee you it's going to
Yeah.
come back.
I totally agree with that. We were, my husband and I went to one of Jay Fizette's programs in Canada because I had bought a year of coaching with Jay a few years ago, 2016 or 17.
Mhm. Is this
And
with personal best or this
um,
creator's code?
can't remember which one.
Okay.
Lead. It was Lead. It
Right.
was a
Yes. The
Lead
mastermind.
program.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we had the masterminds that were going on, but then there were also physical location events. And so we went to Canada for one. And I remember my husband having a conversation with someone there, and they were talking about money. And the guy said, you know, you have to let the money flow through you, which is what you're saying here.
Yeah.
You have to let the money flow through you. And that was a difficult concept to grasp until I finally got the image of standing the in the river, in the stream, and you're standing in the middle, and the water's coming through. You get wet, so some of it sticks on you, right? And a lot of it goes on through. The water goes on downstream. And it's the same way with money. It comes to you, some of it stays, but you let some of it go on downstream to help others as well.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And it's one of those things, again, I don't know why it works,
Yeah.
but it really does. It's like I was talking to Paige Stevenson, and she's a spiritual advisor. I don't know if you know Paige or not, but
Mm-mm.
she was mentioning that I always see the number 1111. It's always 1111. And when I see 1111, she's like, that is actually a spiritual number that someone is by your side.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, my logical brain is saying, well, it's just because I looked at it 1 minute after 11:10. This is,
Right. Yeah.
but at the same time, your eyes are drawn to the clock at that exact moment.
True.
So, there might be a little bit of something in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's magical to believe.
Right. Yeah. James, as you know, we ask all of our guests, I've been a we person all my life. I always tend to say things in we, and I'm really working on that and saying I.
I do the same thing, and it's normally when
Do
it's
you?
something uncomfortable with. I don't know why. Like it's like, hey Regina, we'd like you to think about joining my mastermind. And I'm like, why am I
Right.
saying we? Who's we?
Exactly. I know people say, okay, so how big is your organization? And you're saying we. So, folks, we're all growing, okay? But what I like to ask, as you know, I have three questions that I like to ask every one of my guests because each guest comes from such a different perspective and has so much to offer. And I want to give our listeners a plethora of perspectives that they can add, they can pick and choose. It's a buffet that they can pick and choose what they want to add in for them.
Yep.
So, my first question for you is, what is one leadership principle that has served you well in your personal and business life?
Okay. So
Okay, can you hear me now? Hopefully I am back on. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. I had just a little bit of a glitch on my sound on this side. So I want to thank James for taking part in that interview. He's an amazing young man and doing amazing work in the world. If you'd like to catch the rest of that interview, you can find it on pursuingprofitwithprinciples.com. So also, if you would like to see more of James, he's going to be joining me this week in an event, a live online event that is called Escape the Corporate Rat Race, Ditch the 9 to 5 Biz Incubator. James is going to be teaching a class on combining your purpose with your passion and your superpower. He's going to be helping you to discover what those things are for you, what your superpower is, what your purpose and your passion is. Then he and I are going to co-teach 2 classes dealing with understanding and creating your strategic plan and the tactics to achieve it, focusing on lead generation and conversions or sales, and how to implement those plans. So I hope that you'll join us in that event. And that, let me see if I can give you the link to that. Hang on one second here. Let me give that to Barb to put in there, if you don't mind, Barb. And this will get you registration at that event. It's a free event, folks. There are 26 workshops, 19 instructors. It's going to be amazing. Everything from your mindset to building the foundation for your business to creating the implementation plan. So please take a look at that and join me and James in that. So I hope you'll join me next week when I bring you another interview with another amazing individual doing great things in the world, but you're going to have to wait till next week to find out who that is. All right. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. And if there's something in particular that you'd like me to bring relative to pursuing profit with principles, be sure and let me know. Appreciate you. Bye-bye and have an amazing week.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Rodney C. Burris is an international speaker, youth advocate, professional development coach, and published author who grew up in the inner cities of Baltimore and Jacksonville in the United States. In the USA, Rodney is regarded as one of the nation's top leaders in unlocking human potential and inspiring organizations to greatness. He's delivered speeches all over the globe and is poised to disrupt the status quo in leadership and organizational development. It is my distinct honor to introduce you to Rodney C. Burris.
Hello, 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 good people. Okay, I decided to do a part 2 on this kind of thinking, right? On our exploration of how people generally process information. So I left the diagram up, and I'm going to point out what we have listed here. But on top of that, I wanted to add a little bit more context because there's things about this that as leaders, if we internalize, right, if we really, really, really get it, we'll be able to help our people. Leaders are people that are in the business of helping the people who help the people, right? That's what leadership really is all about. Leadership is about how do I become different and better along my journey so that I'm better equipped to produce more people who are helping other people. That's what life is about. And if we get into, sometimes we get caught up in an ideology of like doing for self. But when you do for self, in the absence of also realizing your connectivity, right? Our connectivity to the others, our place in the whole. Well, what happens is we cut ourselves off. And so we'll stockpile, we'll hoard, we'll store up, but we're actually not experiencing wealth, a wealth of life, a quality of life, riches. We're not really experiencing it. Can I give an example? Years ago, there was a credit crunch that happened in the United States, right? It kind of happened all over the world. There was talks about big corporations that were too big to fail, and this whole business of government bailouts, the governments of different countries, especially here in the United States, providing a lot of money to companies so that they don't go under, right? So they don't go out of business because they were too big to fail. And during that time, one of the major things that was happening was what we referred to as a credit crunch. Well, what does that mean? It didn't mean that we ran out of money. We ran out of credit. What is credit? Credit is the ability to believe you'll pay me back. That's what good credit is. Bad credit is, I don't believe you'll pay me back. You could have a lot of money in the bank. You could have a lot of money in your pocket. Bad credit says, regardless of how much money is or isn't in his pocket right now, can you really believe that if you give him them keys, if you give him that car, if you give him access to that property, will he or she pay you back? And because there's no way to really know that, we've come up with this whole kind of FICO system, right? That kind of puts a numeric evaluation on that believability. Can I give you another example of how credit means believability? Think about the word incredible. Same root word, right? If something is incredible, if something, let's break it down. If something is credible, that able part means able, ability to. The cred part is belief. So if something is credible, I can believe it. It has the ability to be believed. Incredible is kind of like that. In actually means not, like away from. So incredible is it's away from the ability to be believed. Wow. That's it, right? That's amazing. That's incredible. That's so awesome. I don't hardly believe it if I didn't see it with my own eyes, right? How strong was the Gamma Green Giant from Marvel Comics? His strength level was so high and so unlimited that it was almost incredible. Can't even believe it, right? How else do we know that credit means believability? Cred, that C-R-E-D root word is the same root word in creed, C-R-R-E-D, creed, which is a statement of belief. So credit is just literally the ability to believe. Why is this important? How does this tie in? Because we were running out of the ability to believed that people would pay us back, folks started stockpiling money. They were hoarding instead of storing. It's a difference, right? There's a mindset and intentionality. And in law school, they teach you about something called mens rea and actus rea, right? Which in a nutshell means what was the state of the person's thinking when everything went down, right? Was their intention to harm? Or was harm caused and they weren't even thinking about it? So if I'm laughing, right? And I bump into somebody on accident and they trip and fall, and in the process of tripping and falling, they break something that's worth $5,000. If they sue me for, being liable for breaking that property, all that kind of stuff, the judge will say, okay, was this person trying to be destructive? Right? Was they trying to cause harm, or did this happen kind of like in the course of natural events? Mens rea, actus rea, what was the mentality behind? So storing is great. Hoarding puts a whole different dynamic, and that intentionality counts, right? We'll save that for another conversation. Let's loop it back around. So because people didn't believe that folks would pay them back, folks stopped using, spending, lending money, right? Well, and they started hoarding it. Here's the issue with that. The strength of money is not, it's like electricity. The strength of money is not in how much it sits over there, how much those digits go up in the account. The strength of money is in this free flow, in its interconnectivity. How do we know this? What is another name for money? Currency. Do you see this? Currency. In school, we used to study what was happening in the world, right? We studied current events. What's going on right now? If things happen at the same time, they happen concurrently. They're happening at the same time. It's going on. The flow is moving, right? Currency counts. And so if you take anything, like if you think about a stream, current running through the stream, that's fresh water. If it's clean, if it's crystal clear and it's brisk and it's cool, oh, that's refreshing, right? It is the stuff that the life on this planet is made of, right? We need it. And everybody sells spring water and mountain fresh water, and we try to bottle it up. As soon as you bottle up some water and you cut it off from being connected, and we store it up, right? And we hoard it, keep it here. This is good if we're just storing it. But if we stockpile it, I remember years ago, family member of mine thought that there was about to be a huge like national crisis, like martial law, like people fighting, fiending, defending themselves, trying to just get food. And so he was like a leader in our bigger family, and he had us buying tons of water, tons and tons of water. Like we're going to the big box stores, right? Just, the stores in the world. We're going to all of these big stores and we're just getting pallets and pallets and pallets of water. Week after week, month after month, we're just getting all of this more water. And that went on for the better part of a year and a half, maybe almost the better part of 2 years. And then kind of like the fervor around that whole idea went down, and we just had that water stockpile. Okay, we didn't need it now. We thought something was imminent and happening. Turns out it wasn't. We'll loop back around and get some more of that. We'll use it later. Do you know, maybe a year or 2 years, something like that went by, and we started seeing like the bottles looking funny, like what's going on with the bottles? And then we realized, so I never realized this, but I was a kid at this time. Water bottles have a date on them. Water can go bad. Wait, what? There's no preservatives, there's no chemicals, there's no sugar, there's no fatty acids, right? There's no amino acids. It's just H2O, right? Some minerals. It can go bad. Well, guess what we learned? And guess what? It was astounding to me. Every single bottle has on it, let's see if I can find it. Every single bottle has on it, there it is, a date. Best if used by. Every single bottle of water, because it's disconnected from life it immediately starts to die. And so as leaders, if we are in the process of telling them what to do, but not realizing our connection, our interconnectivity with them, if we don't understand our place being a part of a whole, if we're not in the process of becoming different and better so that we're helping the people that are helping the people, realizing our place in the broader scheme of things, we have in effect, if only mentally, cut ourselves off and will experience a stagnation that will ultimately lead to death, a type of death, if only in our minds, if only mentally, right? And we know leaders, we know people, we know individuals that live like that, right? So we want to revisit this model here, right? With the idea that we are gaining a bigger and better understanding of ourselves so that we can better impact the people connected to us and also the people connected to them, right? One more example of this. I knew a football player, NFL player, American football, right? Tackles, pads. I know we got some people that call football soccer, calcio. That's a different country. Football, F-U-T-B-O-L. So I'm talking about rugby, American style, helmets, pads, all that kind of stuff, right? And this guy, he was a big guy, looked like he was about 260, just his head, his neck was just all one muscle. And he said that when he would play football professionally, that if he saw somebody that he needed to tackle, he would aim for a spot that was somewhere about 5 yards behind them. And then when he got to them, he would hit them and drive to that point, because hitting them wasn't even the point. Getting to that spot 5 yards beyond them was his actual goal. So as leaders, if we get better and better at approaching our influence and how we show up in this world, it's not just for ourselves and not just for the people we're connected to, but literally improving the people that they're connected to. I'm doing this so that life can happen in people I won't even see. Our value goes way up. And by value, I mean income, what we can get paid for. I mean how they rely on us, our dependability, our recognized expertise, our respectability goes way up, right? Okay, so let's look at our place in the world. This right here, once again, is called the whole brain model. And it is the model of how people process information, how people think, right? It is based on the research. Again, if you remember from our last conversation, it is based on the research of some professors coming out of Cornell University in the 1970s, and they saw, after studying thousands of people and putting them through several batteries of tests, that individuals across race, gender, age, cultural, ethnicities, backgrounds, social, economic, educational achievements, whatever, societal status, none of that, any of those things, that people process information typically in one of 4 ways. They call the whole of the ways the whole brain model, because all of us have a whole brain, right? Hopefully. But each of us have what's called brain dominance, where we process information predominantly in one of the 4 ways, right? So yellow brain thinkers focus on what could be, possibility, right? Blue brain thinkers focus on what is. Green-based thinkers focus on best way to, right? Efficiency. Red-based thinkers focus on involvement, right? You can't do anything without having people involved. Again, none of us would be at this point where we can have this conversation together if we didn't have all of these aspects in some degree at play in our day-to-day lives, right? But that does not still mean that we don't have brain dominance, right? We both have two hands. You know, we both have two arms, most of us. For those that don't, we send love and respect, right? And even in a situation where we have both arms, both hands, right? Both legs, there's one foot, one hand, one arm that we're more comfortable with using. That's our strong hand. For a lot of people, they would say it's their right hand. I don't know if that's indoctrination or if that's actually like true physiology for humans. I don't know. You would think that it'll be 50-50, right? With left-handedness seems to be a rare phenomenon. But whatever, you know, it's so rare that some people, there are scholarships for left-handed people. Talk about discrimination. No, the world seems to be geared towards right-handedness. So much so that left-handedness, they got to stick together, right? Okay, so each of us have a brain dominance, right? The leader that's gaining in their skillfulness at communicating, at involving, at becoming different and better, goes on the process of discovering what's their thinking type, okay? Now, let's say this is your dominant quadrant, right? Your blue brain thinking, you're focused on the facts, you don't care about a whole bunch of stuff. This is kind of annoying me. I want to erase the two lines that are under feelings and put it under the who. But if I do that, it's going to give me a smudge under feelings. And I don't want this smudge. How's that? Oh, that's not too bad. Feelings. Okay. Had to bounce out. That was getting to me the whole time. I was trying to ignore it, but I already have I was going to be a doctor. I was pre-med for like 6 minutes in college, right? Actually, one semester. You know how they say doctors have the most horrific handwriting? That semester stuck, as you can see, right? I can't get through it. I can't shake it. But anyway, so let's say your dominant quadrant is green. I know I was saying blue, forget blue for the moment. Let's just jump to green. Right? So you're mostly concerned with efficiency, with order, with systemization, with method. There's a proper way to do things. If you are dominant here, you probably have a high trait in either the blue or the red, right? So people that are highly concerned with efficiency and process may want to have that efficiency so they can get to the point. What is the one thing that we're trying to accomplish? Or they're concerned with the proper way to do things so that no one's left out, so that everyone's included, right? Again, this person wants to do something big and grandiose. Like, hey, I know nobody's ever attempted it. I believe we can do this specific thing based on these reasons. Just go with me. Let's do something that's never been done before and have a party while doing it, right? Bring everybody along for the ride. It's very rare that you have a person that's like, let's do something that's never been done before. It's a bunch of unknowns. It's a huge jump in logic of what's currently the traditional acceptable way of doing things, and dot every single I across every single T and have every single duck in a row along the way. They typically don't go together. Likewise, it's kind of tough to be a person that is strongly hung up on getting to the point. No fluff, no cut, no chaser. It only. And somebody who will sit down, and if we end up being late, it's okay. You know, it's whatever we got to do. These two people get on each other's nerves tremendously, oil and water, right? They come together, not good. Cats and dogs, right? These two people, nitro and glycerin, fine by themselves. Did you know nitro and glycerin by themselves are not explosive? Did you know that? I didn't know that. Nitrates can be found in foods. Glycerols, the glycerin, not the glycerin, right? Glycerols are used in a lot of products that we use, like not foodstuffs. Nitrates can be in fertilizers and different types of foods, etc. Glycerols are used in a lot of products. They're fine in those different uses. But when you bring nitrogen and the glycerol together, those nitrates and the glycerin, and you get nitroglycerin, you have and explosion, right? And so that's the case here. These two, because this person is like, why can't you just stay focused? Why do you have to be all over the place? And this one is like, why are you killing my vibe? And why are you such a fuddy-duddy? And why are you boring? And this one is like, how do you get anything done in life? You don't complete anything. Yeah? So, let's say you have a company, right? You have a company that typically sells flip-flops, right? Make most of their money in the summertime. Flip-flops, water, warm weather, right? So each of these, you got 4 different managers running this company, right? So we're going to switch them in and out, right? You only have one manager at a time, president, CEO, boss, director, we want to call them. One person at the top. So let's say it is a blue-based thinker. They're going to call people to the meeting. There's a meeting. It is Monday morning, Tuesday morning, whatever it is, 8 a.m. Be there. If you come at 8:17, the meeting's over, right? Because the meeting was done at 8:07, 10 minutes prior, because you got there. Hey, good morning, people. It's Monday, start of a new week. We know what it is. We'd like everybody to kind of get to the point. We know the process for what we need to do. Everybody knows the job, right? We want to get out here. It's the start of a new quarter. Get these flip-flops made. We're going to make it happen. Great. All right, you guys go do what you do. Everybody be great. Okay? Meeting's over. Don't you come to the blueberry. Listen, it's not a lot of fluff and frill. It's to the point. Green. Hello, everyone. We're going to have a meeting. It's going to start precisely at 8:15. All right, so this is not even at 8 a.m. or 8:30. It's 8:15. We're going to start. When everybody, as you come in, there's going to be printed agendas, or there's going to be a little way to digitally for everybody to pull it up and have access to it. There's going to be a clear procedural order. We're going to go through that order, right? This is what we expect. We know what we do on our Monday morning meetings. This is the start of the week. Here's a process. This meeting could take 35 minutes. It could take 90 minutes. It could take 60 minutes. It doesn't matter how long it takes. All of the things will be done. Everything will be covered. There's not really room for Q&A, just a little bit, because this director believes that if you just pay attention, your questions will be answered. You know exactly, you know who I'm talking about, right? You know, your party is like, yeah, right? Okay, nothing wrong with it. Red is the director. So the red director, hey guys, the Monday morning meeting is actually Friday at 4:00, right? It's actually Friday at 4:00. And, you know, everybody comes and you just kind of mosey in. It never starts at 4, right? It's Friday. It never really starts at 4. We want things to be comfortable. Everybody come in. So 4:24, we're finally getting started. Okay, guys, you know, we just went through a great week, rough week, challenging week, another week. Been some bumps. Jameson had that situation on Tuesday. It's crazy, right? But here we are. You know, we made it through. And would anybody like to share any highlights? You know, like what stood out for you? And you over there, you're like, why do we do this? But see, you like the business, you like the industry, you like the company for what you're doing there. But these Friday nights, like flimsy free-for-alls, you're like, what the heck? This one is like, why don't we ever start on time? Why is it that the 4 p.m. meeting starts at 4:32? What's going on, right? So, but this one here, but can I tell you one thing? People like working where they feel valued. Yes? People like working in a place where they feel a part of what's going on. They don't just feel like a cog in a wheel. People will continue to work in places where they just feel like a cog in a wheel. Yes. But they feel connected to the body, to the mission, to the vision when they feel a part, where they feel that the leadership, the company, the organization has a vested interest in us and also in me. This is why a lot of people don't leave. This is why you ain't left. This is why you still here. Because as annoying as this is, and as inefficient as this is, you feel valued. How do you put a price tag on it, right? Eventually the meeting ends. Hey guys, it's 5:15. I know we're supposed to go from 4 to 5. You know, we're gonna just stick around here. You know, if you got to get out of here, go, right? Mark, you get out of here. You know, you get out of here. Do you? Mark has a lot of kids. You know, you got to go pick up stuff. For the rest of us, you want to sit around. We got more food. We got stuff. We just, you know, we enjoy. People feel value though, right? There's a value there. Yellow. This director doesn't have a set meeting there's no standard weekly meeting, right? Why? Why do we have a standard? Do we have something new to talk about? Actually, I do. All right, guys, listen, in 1 hour, it's the middle of the week. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, 3 o'clock. Hey guys, listen, I'm pulling everybody to the conference room. I got something new. But you know what people feel? Invigorated, refreshed, new challenges. How are we supposed to do? That's their job. So wait, are we still selling summertime flip-flops that's going to have the fall lineup coming up? Because I just want to get to it. I like this idea, but does that mean we're no longer doing this or we are? Gotcha. We're doing both. Are we making time for both? Great. I'm in. Cool. I like designing flip-flops. Let's make it happen. Man, maybe we can have a pool party, invite everybody. Sure. We could do all that. But listen, we're not just selling flip-flops. We're going to also sell fruit salad. So it's fun, fruit salad, family, flip-flops. We're going to have a blast. Sure. Right? This guy's like, okay, I'm in. Where are we getting the fruit from? We're going to order it. We're going to listen. We're going to figure out, is there some wholesale? We got some local growers, right? We're going to figure that out, bring them on board. You know, we're going to have you know, be the welcome committee, reach out to them. Okay, I can send an email. I kind of got there. I know what I can do. When you want me to get started on making the fruit salad bowls? You need me to do it now? We don't have the stuff yet? Great. I'm going to go in the other room. But when you guys get the rest of this stuff worked out, just hit me back, right? I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to sit here while we just kind of mully-dully through all of this stuff. But I'm in. It's cool. Now, all of these managers have something valuable to the table. You'll have all the information you need here and very procedural, very orderly. But sometimes it just feels formulaic. It could. Here, we're never lost on what the one main point is. We get that. They're great at this. I don't always feel included. I don't always feel valued. You're getting a paycheck. Okay, I got it. Life should be more than about paycheck. We did send out the staff card, right? It was a calendar invite where everybody got to come sign a card. Did you do that? Well, we did the fun stuff, right? Now let's get back to work. They don't mean it. It's just how they're wired. This person, you're going to feel fun and challenged. But the how that we're going to do some stuff sometimes get lost. And if they're not careful, why are we doing this new thing? They're like, why not? We want to make the impact. We want to shake up the industry, shake up the game. Let's be innovators. That's what they're about, right? But if they're not careful, they'll leave people behind. And they'll end up being so innovative that they lose sight on the thing that the company's designed to do. There's nothing wrong with the organization changing. There's a company that had adding machines and mechanical, like old, huge calculator devices, contraptions, right? This is early to mid 1900s. And eventually they stopped and they became a computer software company, a hardware company making the actual physical computer, the desktops and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually they switched from that into creating just different things. They kind of rebranded and added a fruit to what they do and all this kind of stuff. You know what that company was? International Business Machines. You never heard of that, have you? Well, that's because they started going by the moniker International Business Machine, IBM. Oh, IBM. And IBM partnered, IBM had the Macintosh and they kind of started using the Apple branding. You familiar with Apple? Oh, you know a little bit about Apple, huh? The iPhone and the iPad and the iPod. You probably have no idea what an iPod is, huh? Some of us do, right? Apple. Oh, all of that's connected. MacBooks, Macintosh, MacBook. It's the evolution. So there's nothing wrong with the innovation. That's a beautiful thing. But if we're going to innovate on what we're doing, let's be crystal clear about the it that we're getting to. And let's bring some people along that can help us efficiently get to there. And let's make sure that people feel like they're part of something. One of the things that Apple did really well for a good long while is that they created the feeling of a culture. There was a belongingness to being with Apple. Sometimes it went too far, right? And sometimes it caused friction, right? Because it's one thing to belong, but when my belonging is exclusionary, then we create rifts, right? Starbucks was great for a long time at creating a culture of us in the language, the lingo. Cultures have a lingo, right? Cultures have a way that we talk. But when I do it and it becomes to the exclusion of others, as opposed to like this open door kind of policy, when I make it hard for my own members, which is one of the things that Apple started falling into, when I make it hard for the people that want to be here to kind of keep up with the paces, then I start losing people for my paces, because every 14, 17 months, I'm coming out with a brand new $1,000 device. I'm still paying another $1,000 device. You know, well, you're no longer good enough, because they created this culture of almost inadvertently elitism. And so even with the people that's within, if you have an iPhone older and you don't have the iPhone brand new, even though you have the iPhone new, it's now outdated. You're almost as bad as some others. And so now we're creating infighting and dissidence in our own ranks, right? It's very important. These people at the helm are really good at being like, let's reach back. Whoa. I know that we're moving and we're progressing, but let's make sure. So what do we know as leaders? As leaders, trying to gain in our communication skills, our ability to share understanding, right? Common theme between us during our talks. We realize the value of having the whole brain represented. The leadership suite, whether it's one person, two people, five people, whatever it is, should clearly be able to represent each of these types, right? Because we need all of them, actually, we need all of them. And if I'm a singular person and I'm at the helm of this ship, I could do the work to try to bolster myself in these other areas, but I would probably do better to partner. I probably would do better to kind of reach across the aisle and link up, create collaborations, so that actually, instead of trying to become the generic everyman, right, as a leader, I can literally hone in on my strengths and on my skill sets and create these partnerships, create these connections that allows the whole of the brain, the whole of the thought process to be included, so that we leave nobody behind. We stay fresh and innovative. We stay on top of the trends. We get some foresight, because these people, I said, they're visionary. So they see stuff that this person who's stuck in the maintenance, which we need, of what we're currently doing, won't always see down the pike and see. This person's going to see it, but don't have the pathway to get there. The collaborations are invaluable. Leaders become increasingly better at understanding this, whether it's directly or just the spirit of this. Because I guarantee you, there's a part of you that resonated with everything I just talked about, even if you never put it into these terms. That's the leader in you, connecting to the ideals of what's going on here. See, these are universal principles, and we talk about that all the time. Universal principles are universal. We know we need to have all of the skill sets showing up on our basketball team. We know that we need people at the house. We need some people that are great at cooking, some people good at the grocery shopping, some good at cleaning the bathroom, some good at staying on top of taking out the trash, some good at paying the bills, some people that's good at bringing out the money. And for some, and guess what? In each and every house or family setup, right? Every group of folks, of humans, it could be slightly different. That whereas this person, this role typically would have done it in that house over there, across the street, down the block, it's actually this person that does it. Whatever. We just need the stuff done. It doesn't need to be a particular, always this profile. It's not necessarily the case. But leaders know that we need all of it represented. And that I know that as a human, my blood is red. I need to go to sleep every night, right? I get hungry. I have a dominant hand. I have a not so dominant hand. I have a dominant style of processing information. It's just a fact. If we allow ourselves the cop out, the easy out of saying, oh, I think I'm like all 3 or 4 of them. That's literally saying, I think I'm a human, right? That's literally saying, I think I have 2 arms. I'm not talking about having 2 arms. Which one do you write with? Now, if you literally are the person that can switch and write over here and switch and write over here, then great, that exists for you. There's people that cover this. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if, however, you just have not yet done the homework, talk about this all the time, where's the home? Where's the self-work, right? If I haven't done the self-work to figure out where my dominance is, I'm literally doing us a disservice. We can help our people that are helping the people have this impact when we start with ourselves. This is radically inclusive leadership. This is what it's all about. The whole brain model is yet one more tool, one more asset that contributes to this progress, right? I would love to share more. If you enjoy our talks, right? Why are we just talking here? Let's link. Let's stay connected. Because the more we do this in person, the more we do this live, the more me and you get in front of the people together, the more the impact, the bigger and better we all grow. If you want to do that, you can reach out to me at Rodney C. Burris across social media, info@RodneyCBurris, right? And website, of course, RodneyCBurris.com. Thank you so much for your time.